They say tomorrow is never guaranteed. But what if it was? What if tomorrow was something you could borrow, like a cup of sugar from a neighbor? For Aika Mori, this wasn't just a fantasy. She discovered it the night her little brother stopped breathing. Tomorrow became a transaction, and she was its most desperate customer. Aika was 16, working late shifts at a convenience store that never slept, a beacon of fluorescent light even during citywide blackouts. It was on one of those nights, a storm raging outside, that her brother collapsed. The phone call came, her mother's voice shattered with panic. As Aika grabbed her keys, the store's lights flickered once, twice, and then everything stopped. The rain outside hung in the air like a million glass beads. Customers stood frozen mid-motion, their faces locked in surprise. Aika was the only person in the world who could move. Then, a voice echoed from behind the shelves, calm and hollow. "You can take it," it said. "Just one day." From someone who won't miss it, a man emerged from the shadows. He had no face, just a smooth, featureless blur where his eyes and mouth should have been. In his hand, he held a glowing receipt, stamped with tomorrow's date. The words on it were simple. Borrowed time. One day. Without a second thought, Aika signed her name. In an instant, time snapped back into place. The rain hammered the windows, the customers continued their shopping, and her phone rang again. It was her mother. Her brother had started breathing. He was alive. The faceless man returned the next night, and every night after that. He was her silent, constant companion in the frozen moments after midnight. He explained the rule of his strange business. "You can borrow tomorrows from others," he explained, his voice devoid of emotion. "Add them to someone you love. But the lender, they will lose that day." Aika, desperate to see her brother fully recover, decided to test the rule. She pictured an old man she'd seen in the hospital, his family already saying their goodbyes. The next morning, she heard the news. He had passed away peacefully in his sleep. Meanwhile, her brother's recovery astounded the doctors. He was healing faster than they could explain. Aika told herself she was being merciful, choosing lenders who were already at the end of their journey. She told herself it was a fair exchange. Life for life. It was a lie she needed to believe. But borrowing tomorrows was an addiction. One borrowed day wasn't enough to erase the fear. One day became 3. 3 became a week, a month. Her brother was getting better. He was laughing again, eating his favorite foods, even making plans for the future. He talked about graduating, about traveling. Each word was a testament to Aika's nightly transactions. But as her brother's future brightened, a shadow fell over her town. People started to look tired, their eyes hollow. Children would forget their own birthdays. One afternoon, Aika saw a woman screaming in the middle of the street, crying that she'd lost a day, that a whole 24 hours had vanished from her memory. Through it all, the faceless man watched from his corner of the convenience store, silently tallying his glowing receipts. Aika's hands started to shake when she wasn't borrowing. The thought of stopping was more terrifying than the act itself. She couldn't stop. She wouldn't. One night, as Aika reached for the pen, she noticed something different about the receipt. It never listed who the tomorrow came from, only the amount. A cold dread crept up her spine. "Who are they?" she demanded, her voice trembling. "Who am I taking these days from?" The faceless man tilted his head, a gesture that was somehow more unsettling than a smile. "People close to you are the easiest to reach," he said simply. Her stomach dropped. She left the store, running through the rain-slicked streets, her heart pounding against her ribs. She burst into her home and found her mother sitting at the kitchen table, staring blankly at a cold cup of tea. Her mother looked up, her eyes filled with a strange confusion. "Aika, weren't you just here? Didn't we talk yesterday?" Aika scrambled to her room, her hands shaking as she pulled out the stack of receipts hidden under her bed. And there it was, in faint, glowing script, her mother's unspoken consent. She had lent 5 tomorrows. Unknowingly. That night, Aika confronted the faceless man in the frozen stillness of the convenience store. Her fear had been replaced by a burning rage. "Take them back," she said, her voice steady. "Take them from me instead. Give my mother her days back." For the first time, the faceless man laughed. It was a dry, rasping sound, like dead leaves skittering across pavement. "You have no tomorrows left to give," he said. Aika froze. He held up one final, glowing receipt. It was different from the others. At the bottom, a single line glowed brighter than the rest. Borrower. Aika Mori. Remaining tomorrows. 0. It all clicked into place. The exhaustion she felt every morning. The memories that felt hazy and distant. She had been lending to herself all along. Every single time she saved her brother, she was erasing a piece of her own future, one day at a time. The next morning, Aika Mori didn't wake up. The doctors called it sudden, peaceful, and utterly unexplainable. Her brother survived. He grew up, strong and healthy. Years passed. On his 18th birthday, while cleaning out an old desk drawer, he found it. A small, dusty box. Inside was a stack of strange receipts, glowing faintly before crumbling into ash in his hands. Beneath them was a single note, written in his sister's familiar handwriting. "If you're reading this, it means tomorrow finally came for you." He looked at the clock on his wall. For the first time in years, he watched the second hand tick forward, moving into a future that had been bought and paid for. In the empty convenience store, now dark and abandoned, the faceless man stamped one final receipt. Transaction complete. The last flickering light went out, plunging the store into permanent darkness.